Now, this feels kind of strange. This feels kind of weird. As we wrap up Real Talk every single week, you know what we do. It's a promotion called The Flamethrower, right? And it's presented by our friends. Sometimes you got to laugh. At the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park, amazing sponsors with big hearts. Those are Alberta-owned businesses, and I know that they're thinking about their friends in Jasper as well. This is where you get a chance to get a hot take off your chest. These are all real emails to talk@ryanjesperson.com, and we have two real talkers writing in about Jasper, coming at this from two different angles. This is a Jasper wildfire edition of the Flamethrower. Martin writes in and says, Jasper, I'm a long-time listener, and I got to chime in about this current wildfire situation in the province. Simply put, when is enough going to be enough? Why do we have to accept this as our new normal? Why are our elected leaders burying their heads into the sand when it comes to addressing wildfire mitigation and hoping that it rains as their solution? More importantly, when are we going to have a grown-up talk about how climate change is hurting our province? How many towns like Jasper have to burn to the ground before the premier stops catering to idiots who get their news from Facebook and can't be reasoned with? Also, Ryan, you have a responsibility to push back on Danielle Smith when she's on your show if she deflects questions about climate change making wildfires worse and blaming it on arsons. Push back! You and I were just watching that clip the other day where I pushed back and pushed back and pushed back last year. But Martin will take your point. You're speaking with passion and we appreciate it. Martin says this is becoming Alberta or Canada's version of mass shootings in the States. We can't do anything about this because the bad guys will get guns anyway. But here we are, like, we can't do anything about climate change because wildfires will still happen anyway. And before anyone says this is no time to politicize this issue, Martin says this is the exact time to politicize it, because then it's forgotten until it happens next time. He says mass shootings are now normalized in the States. Why are we normalizing smoky summers here like it's something we should expect? That from Martin. And this from Brad, who says, Jespo, I hate to admit that I let anything get under my skin, but people turning the tragic Jasper fire situation into a climate change argument is so stupid to me. I'm so fired up. Is climate change happening? Absolutely. But mark my words, says Brad, if a catastrophic plague ripped through Alberta 10 years ago and every single person here died and nobody came back, so there were like zero emissions, meaning an impossible to reach standard for emissions perfection lasting for a full decade, the fire still would have happened. Jasper would still be burning. Big changes in how we get and use energy take significant time to implement, and anybody thinking that if we would have just installed more solar panels, this wouldn't have happened, needs to give their head a shake. We make the smallest minuscule contribution to global emissions, and while that doesn't mean we shouldn't improve things as we update our infrastructure to do so, waving your finger at Albertans as if any change we could have made would have changed anything here in the slightest, like we personally caused this fire, is in incredibly poor taste. People are hurting. Let them grieve. That from Brad. You can send us an email, fire up your flamethrower, to talk@ryanjesperson.com. It is proudly presented by the DQs, family owned in Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, and in Sherwood Park on Baseline Road. Thanks for being a part of this episode. A shout out to our fellow Canadians that are in Jasper right now, that have been evacuated from Jasper, and that will be returning to Jasper as soon as it's safe to do so. We love you. We appreciate you. We're proud of you being a part of this community, and we'll talk to you again soon.